Hi, my name's Damien. This is Enneagram Life. And today I'm going to talk about a time that I did not use the Enneagram. So I classified a person as a certain personality type, and it had nothing to do with the Enneagram. It was just based on my own personal experience. So I met this guy on Monday, and I met him for like 20 minutes. And in my mind, I classified him as the super silly guy. That's how I saw him. But that was actually a shorthand. Whenever I saw him, that'd pop into my head to be like, oh, here's the super silly guy. But that was a shorthand way of classifying him. The actual longer term was, oh, that's the super silly guy that's using silliness to make sexual advances towards the women at this job site. Yeah, so that's why he was being super silly, and him being super silly was the whole basis of his personality in that situation. So every time I'd meet him, because he was on the day shift and he was working with two women, there was three of them on the day shift, and I was on the night shift working with another guy. So the night shift and the day shift, we'd cross over, and there'd be like 20 minutes each day or each night where we met each other. And we'd speak to them. And yeah, every time he was just this super silly guy, and it was really annoying because he'd try to make a joke out of everything. And everything he said it as though it was going to be a joke, and often it wasn't a joke. But he'd just end it with and he was always trying to set that tone. It was kind of like nervous laughter, but it was fully intentional. What he was doing, it certainly wasn't about him being nervous. And he was doing it for that reason, to set that tone of, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. Because so much of what he said was of a sexual content, and he was doing that as a way to break down barriers. And he'd do that with all of us, not just the women, but me and the other guy. And when we were in it all together, because the idea was that if the women saw him making all these sexual jokes and sexual comments around the guys as well, they wouldn't be as surprised when he makes it just around them, around the women individually. And so he would, say these things and make all these jokes, which often weren't even funny, try to make everything into a joke. And yeah, it was just, and it was like, some people do that, and there isn't that background of, their motivation isn't to try and make sexual advances, but his certainly was. And you could definitely tell that by the way he was talking and the body language and all of this. And so there's a lot of people out there that do that. A lot of guys do that. They're like I said, it's just a joke guys. The whole idea of it is that they can use that, it's just a joke, as a fallback. So when they make sexual advances towards someone and towards the women, or in this situation, if he made sexual advances towards those women, and they didn't reciprocate it, they felt uncomfortable, then he could always just fall back and say, it was just a joke. And so that was his whole energy and his whole involvement. Every time I was around him, I knew he was doing that. And it was definitely a very efficient way to categorize this guy, because it was such a major motivation of his. So I met him and it affected all his behavior and all of our interactions together. And I met him on the Monday, and to show how effective this was, as a description of who he was and what he was doing. I met him on the Monday, realized he was that type of guy, the super silly sexual advances guy. And then on the Thursday when I came into work, it turns out he'd been fired because he actually knocked one of those women to the ground. He nudged her. And that was all about that whole, I'm just playing around, it's just a joke, more of that super silliness. And she fell over. She was a 50-year-old woman. He was like 55 probably. And she fell over and hurt her knee, or he hurt her knee when she fell over. And so it was caught on camera and she dobbed him in. And then she said, oh, and he's made all these sexual remarks to me and he got in trouble for all of that. And then the other woman he also worked with said he grabbed her between the legs. So, one of those days between Monday and Wednesday, because he was gone by Thursday morning Thursday night when I turned up, he was gone. And so it was definitely one of those guys, And like I said, there's a lot of people out there that do that. A lot of guys do that. The whole idea is to break down the barriers by you say something sexual like a joke, and if they accept that, maybe the women will accept that because in the mixed company, when it's everyone together, they see it as, oh, that's just what Brendan does. That's just how Brendan behaves. And then when he's with them one-on-one, he'll make these same sort of remarks and they won't be as uncomfortable because it's not as surprising. And then when he can see, okay, they accepted that, I'll go a little further. And so he goes a little further and he'll make another comment, which is more sexual and less of a joke. And if they accept that, he repeats the process, getting further and further towards just sexual remarks and conversations. So that's what he's aiming to do. And that was motivating all of his behavior, so it was a very effective way to categorize him. But yeah, of course, the Enneagram's an awesome system, and in certain situations, many situations, classifying people by their Enneagram type is very powerful. Of course, also, your life experience, you can develop an understanding of different types of people based on other categories, and you can use that as well very effectively. It's all about the right tool for the job, and please like, comment, and subscribe.